Is Oklahoma done in the transfer portal for softball for the 2025 upcoming season? Time will tell. We'll find that out in the next couple of weeks. But in the meantime, I'm still very, very excited with what OU has in its transfer portal haul. Currently, five really good players. Isabella Emerling comes from North Carolina. Elana Agbayani comes from BYU, a great infielder. Abby Dayton, a terrific outfielder from Utah. Sam Landry, a pitcher from UL, and Bella Smith, a pitcher from Campbell. So as it sits right now, I will make the argument, and I have made the argument, that I think OU has the number one transfer portal class in all of college softball right now. Again, we'll see if they add anyone else, but as this class currently sits with the five that they've got, there's a lot to like here, and I'm going to give you one thing for each player that you should really be excited about for the upcoming 2025 season. First, let's start with Isabella Emerling, who hails from the University of North Carolina. She's coming off a fantastic year, one of the best years in North Carolina softball history. And that's kind of where I want to start with Isabella Emerling, because as great as her second year was, her first year as a redshirt freshman, not necessarily the best numbers. She was a 179 hitter in her redshirt freshman season at North Carolina. She had 17 hits and 95 at-bats, 6 homers, and 20 RBIs. So Isabella Emerling, a solid redshirt freshman year, but didn't exactly light college softball on fire that season. But you know what she did in year two? Well, you see it right in front of you. 323 average. She had 42 hits in 130 at-bats. She more than doubled her home run numbers. She more than doubled her RBI numbers. She more than doubled her walk numbers as well, and she had fewer strikeouts than she did the year before as well. Isabella Emerling, the one thing that stands out to me, and I think the thing that you should be excited about the most for her, is all of the improvement that she showed from year one to year two. And it wasn't just improvement that she showed from year one to year two. It was one of the best seasons in North Carolina softball history. When you go look at best single season numbers in terms of, what was it, like average and home runs, there's a lot of stats to where you could back up and say she has some of the best numbers single season wise in program history. So I'm sitting here today saying, well, if that's what Isabella Emerling did from her redshirt freshman year to her redshirt sophomore year, and she's got 2 years of eligibility left at Oklahoma, how much is she going to improve from last year to this following year with JT Gasso, with Patty Gasso, with more hitters around her that can protect her? She was the best hitter. She was the best player that North Carolina had last year. And I think it's very fair to assume with a better coaching staff and more legitimate players around her that Isabella Emerling is going to be in more of a spot to be even more successful than she was a year ago. So the improvement from 2022 to 2023 from Isabella Emerling has me very, very excited. And if she can just duplicate those numbers from a year ago and you can add that to your lineup next year, let's go. That's an everyday player for you. But if we're going to see even more improvement from what she did last year to next year, she could be one of the best hitters that you have on your entire team. A lot to be excited about by Isabella Emerling, but improvement from 2023 is what I'm looking at. And I'm very, very excited with what she's got in store for 2025. Ilana Agbayani. Oh, man. This one was tough. This is maybe the toughest one of all because the offensive numbers are really good. She is absolutely a complete hitter. But out of all the offensive numbers that I could have gone with here, I'm going to stick with one offensive number in particular. 7 strikeouts. 7 strikeouts in 162 at-bats for Agbayani at BYU last year. That is insane. I mean, we see the incredible strikeout numbers that OU pitchers have, that other pitchers across the country have. 7 strikeouts in 162 at-bats. In fact, here's another number for you on that. She had the second fewest strikeouts in the Big 12 last year among hitters with over 101 at-bats. I'll repeat that. And everyone in the Big 12 last year, for every hitter that had over 101 at-bats last year, Agbayani had the second fewest strikeouts with just 7. Anyone want to take a guess as to who was number one? Who was number one in the Big 12 with fewest strikeouts with over 101 at-bats? You know her, you love her, and you probably already miss her. Riley Boone led the Big 12 in that category, that unique category, I should say, with just 6. 424 average. That was 4th in the Big 12 last year. 2nd in on-base percentage with a 5.79. She's getting on base over half the time that she goes to the plate. A complete hitter, yes. Can hit for average, can hit the ball over the wall as well. Not Jocelyn Allo or Lauren Chamberlain or anything like that, but has enough power as well to hit at the top or the middle of the order for you. And she don't strike out a whole lot. So here's what Agbayani is going to do for you next year. She is going to put the ball in play because she didn't strike out all that much, and she's going to get on base. Does that sound good to anyone else? She's going to get on base over half of her plate appearances. She's going to hit a 424 average last year. That's what her numbers were. And she's going to strike out just 7 times in 162 at-bats. And it's not just the fact that she rarely struck out last year. It's the fact that with those 7 strikeouts, 30 walks, guys. 30 walks. Over 4 times the amount of walks than she did to strikeouts. That's a complete hitter right there. If you're not already excited about Elana Agbayani, you should be very, very excited about her because she's a fantastic hitter. She'll hit at the top of the order. She'll hit at the middle of the order. But she's going to be one of your, I think, main offensive weapons next year. And for those of you that remember the BYU series, for those of you that were at Love's Field for that BYU series, you remember how awesome she was that weekend. And kind of like with Isabella Emerling, right? With better players around her in the lineup, with better coaches. And no disrespect to North Carolina and BYU, those staffs have great coaches. But we're talking about the best staff in all of college softball. What do those players, even though they had great years last year, what do those 2 players do offensively to raise their play of level even more? It's a fun thing to think about, especially since we're currently in the offseason right now. Abby Dayton, what's one thing that really excites me about Abby Dayton? Now, here's a lot of options for her as well. I could have said, well, she's all Pac-12 first team. Of course I'm excited about that. She was one of the best players in the Pac-12 last year. You add her to the lineup. I could have been done with that and moved on to the pitchers. But I'm not going to say that she was all Pac-12 first team. Is the thing that I'm most excited about. I could say that she was the Pac-12 hitting champ last year. I could, and I could move on from that, and that would probably be good enough for all of us. I'm not going to say that just because she's the Pac-12 hitting champ, that's what I'm most excited about. I could say that she had a 521 on-base percentage over half the time, just like Agbayani, she's getting on base. I'm not going to say that either. In fact, I'm not going to give you an offensive number as to why I'm most excited about Abby Dayton. Here's the number I am going to give you. 0. 0 is the number that I'm most excited about with Abby Dayton. 0 errors in the outfield in 79 chances last year. 0. Now, she's got big shoes to fill. Going to be playing center field. That's the thought with Abby Dayton. Very speedy, rangy, good defensively. Pac-12 hitting champ, which is probably what you've read about the most with Abby Dayton and maybe what you're most excited about there. But the defense, don't discount the defense that she's going to bring to the outfield next year. Jada's legendary. You cannot replace Jada Coleman. I would not try and ask anyone to replace Jada Coleman and the legendary outfielder that she was, because I think that she's the greatest defensive center fielder of all time and maybe the greatest defensive player that college softball has ever seen. But if you're going to try and replace her with anyone, Abby Dayton, pretty daggum good player to throw out in the outfield. 0 errors in 79 chances. And maybe, just maybe, if she can duplicate some of those offensive numbers that she had a year ago, much like Agbayani and Emerling, maybe she can even take that up a notch as well. But if she can have 0 errors in 79 chances and be the really good outfielder that she was a year ago, it may not be Jada Coleman, but maybe Abby Dayton is one of the best outfielders in all of the SEC and one of the best outfielders in all of college softball next year. Again, there may never be a Jada Coleman. When you look at everything from defensively to offensively to leadership, it's going to be a tall task for anyone in an OU uniform or otherwise to live up to what Jada was year in and year out, game in and game out. But if you try to replace her with anyone that's in the transfer portal, Abby Dayton is about as good of a player as you're going to find. I'm very excited about her at the plate, of course. She was the Pac-12 hitting champ a year ago. She'll be at the top of the order. She'll be in the middle of the order. She'll be one of your focal point, your key players next year. But don't discount her defense because I think that she's very, very special in the outfield. All right, let's move on to Sam Landry of UL. Let's see what Sam. There's Sam right there on a recruiting visit, huh? Everybody likes those visits for those picks from the recruiting visits. 24 wins for Sam Landry. It's pretty good. 24 wins at UL last year. That was top 10 in the nation for wins by starting pitchers. But half of those wins came against teams with a top 75 RPI. So no, UL does not face the same competition that Oklahoma will face in the non-conference or in the SEC. It's going to be a step up in competition for Sam Landry. But she had 24 wins last year. One of the best seasons by a starting pitcher in terms of wins in all of college softball last year. And half of those came against top 75 RPI teams. Consistency is what you're getting with Sam Landry. 2.08 ERA last season and surrendered only 26 extra base hits over 127 and a third innings in those starts that she had against those top 75 RPI teams. I know. I get it. I'm throwing a lot of numbers at you right now for each of these players. But just know all these numbers are very, very impressive. And all of these numbers will be some that you can hopefully expect these players to live up to, if not even surpass. Sam Landry getting 24 wins next year is going to be really difficult. Let's see if she starts enough games to have that opportunity next season. But I think consistency is what you're really excited about with Sam, and the fact that she did that against some pretty good softball teams last year. Just 26 extra base hits over 127 in a third innings last year. Last player, and then I will get to the comments. Bella Smith from Campbell. Experience. 70 career wins for Bella Smith at Campbell. And she holds, like Isabella Emerling and some of these other players as well, a lot of school records as well. 2.01 ERA at Campbell last season, 26-7 last season. Wow. 26 wins via Bella Smith, 24 wins via Sam Landry. Those are just wins last year. Bella Smith brings 70 career wins. She's Campbell's all-time leader in career strikeouts with 638. She's Campbell's all-time leader in career wins with 70, like I just said. She's Campbell's career leader in single-season wins with 29. Single season appearances with 49, and single season strikeouts in 241. And oh, by the way, she was also D1 Softball National Pitcher of the Week last April in a run that included her having a complete game win at Duke, a Women's College World Series team that OU saw in the first round, a very pesky Duke team where Bella Smith held Duke to just 4 hits and 2 runs. So you're getting arguably the greatest pitcher in Campbell history. And I get it. That's not a Big 12 program. That's not an SEC program. Campbell's not one of the best college softball programs that's out there. Well, Campbell has good players, just like other small schools across the country has really good players as well. And you're getting one of the best players that Campbell has ever seen, and maybe the best pitcher they've ever seen as well, with a pitcher like Bella Smith. She brings a ton of experience, yes, but she proved last year that against the best teams that she faces, she can have elite performances. Her best performance of to date, that complete win against Duke. We all know how good Duke was last year. Women's College World Series team, complete game, 4 hits and 2 runs. So that's one reason why I'm excited about every single player. I think there's a great argument to be had that this already is the best transfer portal class out there. And all the numbers that I just threw out to you, when you add them all up, and I'm not really talking about the pitchers here, let's just focus on the position players that you're bringing in and the position players that you're bringing back. This tweet is from Seth Oliveras, friend of the show here. Check out the stats from 2024. Agbayani had 70 hits last year with 33 RBIs. Abby Dayton, 72 hits with 28 RBIs. Emerling, 42 hits with 53 RBIs and 14 home runs. Ella Parker had 73 hits, 62 RBIs, 13 bombs. Pickering had 58 hits, 51 RBIs, 12 home runs. Sanders had 30 hits, 50 RBIs, 15 home runs. You are returning 345 hits, 277 RBIs, 61 home runs. Don't tell me that OU's too young to go win a title next year. Don't tell me that OU's too inexperienced to win a title next year. You see the numbers offensively. The numbers offensively that are returning, and not all of those were in an OU uniform, I understand. But the offensive numbers from last year that OU will have on the roster will stack up against anyone in all of college softball this year. That includes Texas. That includes UCLA. That includes Florida. Those are some incredible numbers. Now, go back to what I said just a couple of nights ago. Talent won't be the reason OU won't win a national championship if that happens. If OU ultimately does not win a national championship and make it fifth straight, it won't be because of talent. It'll be because of other factors outside talent. They've got enough talent coming in. They've got enough talent coming back. And when I say bringing enough talent in, I mean that via the transfer portal and even the luxuries that we don't already know about when it comes to the incoming freshmen and how good some of those players are going to be. So I'm excited. And I hope that you're excited as well, because there's a lot of different reasons to be excited about each of those 5 players. And I had a really difficult time getting it down to just one reason why I'm excited about every single player. I'm glad the audio works this time. Jeez, I don't know what happened, but thank you to those of you who stuck around, got in the new stream here. I appreciate that. Thank you, Don. Thank you. Larry, are the incoming freshmen on campus or playing travel ball this summer? I'm sure most of those, probably all of those, are playing travel ball this summer, and I'm sure they will be on campus very, very shortly. Campbell says, when does Kennedy have to decide by? Kennedy doesn't have to decide until essentially it's time to enroll for school. If Kennedy wants to wait the entire month of July till we're through with that, she can do that. If she wants to wait until August, she can do that as well. She just has to enroll at that school by a certain point. And sounds like Texas Tech has thrown out the big NIL offer, and that's the biggest offer that's currently on the table. Sounds like Alabama may be a little bit in the fight. We'll see if she ultimately just goes back to Stanford, and all this was just to drive up the price to go back to Stanford. But it sounds like Oklahoma has given their pitch. They felt confident about their pitch all along. It's, hey, we're not going to give you the largest NIL offer that's out there, but we are going to give you a very healthy NIL offer, and we're going to give you the best chance to win a national championship. You can be a big piece for us in the circle, big key for us in the circle. If you want your best opportunity to win a title, come to Oklahoma. If you want to go chase the NIL number, we'll go chase the NIL number. But Oklahoma is not going to cave in and try and match a crazy number that's out there. They're not going to do it. They're confident with where they're at right now. And if you didn't think that before and you missed the first 10 minutes of this video, go back and listen to why I'm excited about every single player, all 5 players that they have currently right now in the transfer portal. You'll probably get excited as well if you're not already. Fall games are going to be awesome, says William. And yeah, I mean, I'm going to be like live streaming right after all these battle series games. It'll be right in the middle of football season. I'll be in football mode, but I'll also be in softball mode and going to essentially be doing post-game shows for these battle series games. It's crazy. Jason said, one prominent podcast said Kennedy probably won't be a Sooner, especially since Patty announced the transfer class. He also mentioned Kennedy was never really interested in Oklahoma. I don't believe that last part. I do believe the first sentence, Kennedy probably won't be a Sooner. Yeah, I agree with that. Like I'm pretty comfortable saying at this point that I don't think Nyjah Kennedy is going to be in an OU uniform next year. I disagree that Kennedy was never really interested in Oklahoma, because everything I heard from my side, Kennedy was very interested in Oklahoma, and Kennedy was very interested in Oklahoma from the get-go. Sounds like that visit when she made it to campus went very well, and OU felt confident about that for quite some time, but Texas Tech threw out an offer, and maybe she and the family can't refuse it, but yeah, I don't agree with that last part. I do agree with the first, though. I don't think she'll be a Sooner, but I think that there was a lot of interest there. A lot of interest there on both sides. Look for Saunders to have an outstanding year. It was said within the next 7 to 10 days she will announce. Good. I'm just hoping to get it over with. Let's move on. Ready to talk about this class, do some mock starting lineups for next year, and get ready for next season. When OU got Landry, I officially quit caring about Kennedy. She's good. I don't know who's going to have a bigger impact in the circle between her or Bella Smith. I mean, Bella Smith comes in with more career wins and some better numbers, but I think it's fair to say Sam Landry probably played against slightly better competition. I don't know. Again, like Bella Smith had that great game against Duke last year, good enough to be D1 softball national pitcher of the week. And not that this team, we got a long ways until first pitch next year. We got a whole fall season, a lot of practices and everything. But I am interested to see next year. And one of the big storylines I think going into the year will be like who's your ace, who's your number one, and not that you need to know that in March or April. It would be nice to have that, but is Sam Landry the ace of the staff? Does she emerge into that? Is Bella Smith the ace of the staff? Does she turn into that? Is Kirsten Deal, like, does she go into the season as your number one pitcher, and does she kind of claim that spot throughout the entire year? You got options, you got arms. I mean, you're going to have a lot of pitchers next year, but who really rises to the level? Who really rises to, the pitching that we've seen in previous years when it comes to the postseason? Because say what you want about Kelly Maxwell heading into the postseason, and some people said a lot of things, that she wasn't good enough, she wasn't Jordy Ball, she wasn't this, she wasn't that. She's one of the best pitchers on the planet right now, and she really turned into that when OU needed her the most in the Women's College World Series. So we got a long way to go. Long way to go, a lot of topics to talk about, and a lot of pitches to see from this pitching staff. And yes, including some of these freshmen that will be in the circle as well. Long way to go for sure, but someone's really going to have to emerge into that ace, because as talented as I think OU is, you're going to face some really good pitching next year. There's going to be some really good pitching returning across the sport, and you're going to have to be able to match that for sure. I don't even know why fans keep talking about Kennedy. If she comes, cool. If not, cool. Stop setting yourselves up for failure. Yeah, I kind of hope everyone knows the situation by now. It's starting to even hear that Oklahoma's kind of moved on from that. That Patty put out that tweet on Monday. Here's the 5 that we have with the transfer portal class. Here's what we want to do. Here's what we got moving forward. Let's go. Now, I will say OU did plan on adding Nigeri Kennedy if they could. So they had that spot open. Might they add someone else before the end of the portal cycle? There's got to be someone in the portal that they deem like, hey, could really help us out next year. I don't think that they would waste a spot just to waste a spot. They're not really in that situation right now. But if they've identified a pitcher that they really like, if they've identified a position player that they really like, I wouldn't put it at 0% that they don't add someone else. But again, that could have been a situation where it was, we're going to hold out for Nigeri Kennedy. If she comes, then we're done. If she doesn't, then we're done there as well. But as it sits, I will argue all offseason long, this is the best transfer portal class that college softball has. Isabella Emerling, one of the best seasons in North Carolina history. Elana Agbayani, one of the best hitters in the Big 12 last year. Abby Dayton, the Pac-12 hitting champ from a year ago. And then Sam Landry and Bella Smith, one of the best 2 pitchers that their 2 respective X-programs have ever seen before. Audrey Lowry could step up and be the ace. There's options. They're not in a bad spot. They are not in a bad spot. There's options out there, and I love the idea of some young players really getting opportunities to grow into one of the best pitchers in the sport. One of the best pitchers in the sport. Well, both the transfer portals have electric stuff. Add Jen, and you guys will be elite in the circle. Appreciate you tuning in, Jason. Monty says, how big of a draw will the fall ball series be on ESPN with everyone wanting to see how they look? Super excited to see what they can do. Monty, I don't know about ESPN, but I do know about Love's Field, because guess what? How many times have we seen in the middle of the week on a Tuesday or a Wednesday night and fall temperatures really starting to hit and it's not all that warm outside? You got fans out there in blankets in the outfield and the place is still basically sold out. I know I mentioned this a few weeks ago, so sorry for those that are hearing me repeat this. But for those that didn't, there's so many incredible things that happen with OU softball on a year-in, year-out basis. But that's still one of the more impressive things to me. Out of all the things that we see, right? The 4 consecutive national championships, the 8 consecutive wins that they have in the championship series, the home runs, the epic pitching performances. Like, one of the things that just really makes me say, dang, that's incredible. is the fact that they basically sell out off-season scrimmages. Most programs hope that they can sell out a game during the year. And this program's selling out softball scrimmages in the middle of the year. It's insane. It's insane. But you know you're going to get a show every single time. You know that there's a ton of competition game in and game out in that battle series. You can find out a lot about the team. You can kind of get a glimpse into who's winning some of those starting positions. It's awesome. It's freaking awesome what this program does on a year in, year out basis. And not even during the season. Heck, guys, last year, here you go, Monty. Here's another one for you. And she's not even on the team anymore, but OU had a Sports Center top 10 play during a battle series game last year. And it was a good enough play to be on there, the play that Avery Hodge made. But a fall ball scrimmage, no one should even know that that's even going on or exist. You can have the greatest softball game ever played, and at most programs, it's not going to be on television. There's not going to be a whole lot of people watching. No one would even know across the country that those games are going on. But if you make a great play in the battle series at OU, you might be on Sports Center later on that night. I mean, just the overall profile of this program, that really impressed me last year. I mean, the play was great by Avery Hodge. But the fact that in a fall scrimmage, a play was made, people saw it, and it ended up, was it the number one play on Sports Center that night? It's insane. It's insane. And I get excited and jacked up talking about it. It's great. Past 2 decades, only 3 freshmen have stepped up to be the ace. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's easier when you recruit to the level that Oklahoma has, right? And I guess the most recent freshman that has stepped up to be the ace would be Jordy Ball, correct? It's easier when you're bringing in the number one recruiting class every single year, but still, there's a lot of pressure that goes with that. Like, playing at Oklahoma is not the same as playing probably anywhere else in the country, because nowhere else in the country do you have the pressure that you have at Oklahoma. That's not for just 3-year or 4th-year players. That's for true freshmen, right? Jordy Ball had massive expectations coming in as a true freshman. We knew about her well before she ever threw her first pitch in an OU uniform. And for this freshman class, there will be a lot of pressure. Now, I'm of the hope that they can really handle that. They're ready for that. They're ready for the spotlight, and they can be that next great group that moves you forward in the SEC. But it's not easy to do. And like you're saying, only 3 freshmen have stepped up to be the ace. Maybe that'll happen this year, but handling the pressure it's a big thing when it comes to Oklahoma. It'd be a big thing. Ricketts, Parker, and Ball, yes. Black Ant says facts, yes. Selene, when are contracts for TV coverage finalized? I don't know. I mean, I'm sure we're going to hear at some point here soon, maybe, hopefully over the next 2 or 3 months or so, what exactly it looks. I mean, we don't even know the full SEC schedule, what it looks like for OU. Now, we have been told on this YouTube page that OU is going to Florida and they're going to Alabama next year. We know those 2 are road games. And I'd be pretty surprised, by the way. I mean, I'd be surprised if that wasn't on SEC Network or ESPN. Like, I got to think that is on, ESPN. Like, that's going to be pretty easily accessible. And I'm going to guess that most SEC series for OU probably pretty easily accessible, be it online or just over traditional cable or YouTube TV or whatever you watch. But as of right now, we don't even know the full SEC schedule. We know that OU is going to Florida and Alabama. I would guess that they play Texas at home. I would guess. They go to Austin last year, and I know that it's a different conference, so that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. But I would guess that one of your home series next year would be Texas. But I would also guess that you're probably going to see an LSU on the schedule or a Tennessee on the schedule. It's going to be a brutal draw in the SEC. But you know what? Bring it on. Let's go. Bring it on. Let this team that is looking to gel together with some young players, with some transfer portal players, give them a schedule that, they can really gel together and play some good softball with. I'm excited. Are the fall games on SEC channel? I guess they would be on ESPN Plus like they have before, right? I would guess, but they have not announced that just yet. I'm going to guess that most. I mean, geez, would Oklahoma be the only college softball program that's been airing like their fall games? Like maybe. Not that I've been looking for Texas fall games or Florida's fall games or anything like that, but might be a pretty decent wager there that Oklahoma is the only one where you can actually see what's going on during fall ball. Pretty sweet. Sooners will play all the top teams in the SEC. Bring it. I agree with that. Crazy 90, thoughts on OK State transfer class? Yeah, another good one. Good one. And they really, it felt like Oklahoma State really made the first big splash. I think, was it before the Women's College World Series was even over? Is that right? They get the big transfer portal ad from Washington. That was a big deal. And then you get a really good pitcher from Baylor as well, who was really Baylor's number 2 a year ago. I know that she took a visit to Oregon at one point, and she had some other options there. But, yeah, I mean, Oklahoma State's transfer portal class is good. I think that they're probably among one of the best that's out there. But those are kind of the 2 headliners that they have. But I really like what Oklahoma's got via the transfer portal class thus far. Still new to softball, so still learning. When is the SEC softball schedule finalized? You know what? So they have football done. They have men's and women's basketball done. They do not have baseball and softball done just yet. To be honest with you, I don't really know if there is a timeline as to when that's going to be finalized. Now, I think that people have already seen those schedules. I think that the SEC baseball, like how they're going to do it, I think that that's already determined. I think the SEC softball schedule, I think that that's already determined. And OU probably has an idea who they're going to play and maybe when they're going to play. In terms of it being released, that's a different story. But finalized, I think it's already finalized. And I say that because LSU, their baseball coach, was rattling off who they're going to play in the SEC next year. So that means to me that baseball schedule's finalized. If we're hearing that OU's going to Alabama and Florida, that means the softball schedule's finalized. Hopefully we can just get that released a lot sooner. All right, so a little bit of a homework assignment for those of you that want to participate. And if you're watching this live, you can drop it in the comments. If you're watching this after the fact, first off, thank you to all of you watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. But I gave my 5 reasons. I gave 1 reason for each player as to why I think you and I should be very excited about their upcoming 2025 season. Isabella Emerling, I said the improvement from 2023, massive improvement from 23 to the 24 season. Go look at the numbers. Elana Agbayani, just 7 strikeouts in 162 at-bats. And by the way, 30 walks in those 162 at-bats. She doesn't strike out. She puts the ball in play. She puts the ball in play hard, and she gets on base. Abby Dayton, 0 errors in 79 chances. Yes, Pac-12 hitting champ, 521 on-base percentage, all these great numbers, 0 errors in 79 chances. I think she's going to be a very, very good outfielder for OU next year. Sam Landry wins, 24 wins, top 10 in the nation. Half of those came against top 75 RPI teams. She's very, very consistent. 2.08 ERA last year at UL. Bella Smith, experience, 70 career wins. A lot of experience never hurts in the circle. 70 career wins, 2.01 ERA last year, 26 wins a year ago. And she's Campbell's all-time leader in career strikeouts, career wins, single season appearances, single season strikeouts. And, oh, by the way, she was D1 Softball National Pitcher of the Week. So let me know in the comments what you're excited about for each player, one individual player, and we'll talk to you soon. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. But the good news, we are a day closer to the start of OU softball.